sleeves, show his scars, and say these wounds. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgotten. For he today who sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Got a question for you. Who's got it better than us? Nobody! Give each other a hand.
Welcome to the Big House of CFB Nation. How are you? I'm Andy. We're back again with another episode, so let's get right into it. Now, 3 Wolverines have been named preseason All-American. First one is tight end Colson Loveland. He was named to first team. Cornerback Will Johnson was also named to first team All-American. Then you have defensive tackle Mason Graham. He is named second team All-American. Now, one position not thought of when thinking of All-Americans is the quarterback position, and we're going to talk about Alex Orji. He discussed his comparisons to Jalen Milroe. Now, back in December, Orji played pretty much Jalen Milroe in practices as the Wolverines prepared for the Rose Bowl against Alabama. Now, they both have similar traits, and both can take over games with their legs, and both have pretty good arms. The issue with both is how well can they read defenses and how accurate those passes can be. Now, Orji talked about those comparisons, and he said, coming out of Texas, he was a player that he looked up to. He mentioned how great of an athlete he was, how much of a leader he was, and that both are freak of natures. Now, Orji spent 2 years learning from J.J. McCarthy, and he also learned from Jim Harbaugh. Now, Jim Harbaugh also compared him to Jalen Milroe as well. So there's a lot of comparisons by a lot of different people to that. And he said what he learned under JJ and to a lesser degree from Jim Harbaugh is to be calm, cool, and collected. Now, you also what he liked about JJ was how before the play happened, he would be able to predict it. And so nothing ever really came as a surprise for JJ. And that's something that Alex Orji said that he wants to kind of learn and kind of have in his arsenal. So he's never surprised, whether it be a blitz come in or different packages of zone coverages and to the like of that. So it will be interesting once, we get fall camp and how, that gets underway and, who ends up winning the job. Orji said that he is trying to pick up a little bit of everybody, of JJ, of Jalen Milroe, and he's just trying to be the best version of himself. And I think that's really the best way for him to approach this job, because he doesn't need to take on too much. If he wins the job, he needs to do what Alabama forced Milroe to do last year, was look at the first read. If it's not there, dump it off or scramble. Get ahead of the chains. Don't fall into that 2nd and 10, 3rd and 9. A 4-yard dump off is a win at the end for the system, because we know at the end of the day, this team is going to be led by the defense. And speaking of defense, defensive backs coach Lamar Morgan was speaking about his group in an interview. Now, first off, he mentioned Will Johnson. He said that he has emerged as a leader, his commitment, his work ethic. He is preparing his mind and his body. Now, he's truly taking the next steps to be truly great. And he'll be the guy that the entire room looks to come this fall. Now, me personally, I think he's a top 5 pick in the NFL draft next year. Now, the second guy that was mentioned is Jair Hill. He will be the opposite corner to Will Johnson. And Morgan said that he loves football, has a unique personality, and he should continue to take another step. He did say that he is the locked-in corner, no questions asked. Then with Morgan, he brought up two other guys for depth pieces to kind of take note of. That is Keyshawn Harris and Jaden McBurrows. Now, he mentioned the goal was to get them to play inside and outside to kind of help build that versatility. And to speak on versatility, true freshman Jacob Oden, he came in this spring and he played all positions for the Wolverines in that secondary, including safety, as they were very thin at the depth position there. Now, Morgan said they'll figure out the depth behind Johnson and Hill and who fits best where. Now, with McBurrows, for the longest time, he was thought of as being the nickel corner. We'll have to see if he kind of reemerges once fall camp gets underway. Now, speaking of the safeties, it was a position that I was most concerned about from a depth and talent perspective. Morgan said that they were looking at experience in the portal, and that's exactly what they got. For the returning guys, one guy that was mentioned is Zeke Berry. He will be locked in as a starter, and they mentioned that he could also play inside as nickel corner, depending on what kind of packages they bring in. So that kind of different versatility is going to be interesting for the blitz packages that we might see this coming fall. Morgan said that with the secondary unit, they will take that next step if Barry can take that next step. So it sounds like by all indication that Barry will be the key piece to this defense. If he can pick things up fast, they won't have to mask, any of his downfalls, and they can play fast, they can play as an entire unit, and they can blitz at will and have enough talent to cover on the back end. Now, we're 8 weeks away from the season getting started, so it's time to do a breakdown previews of week 1 right now. Week 1 opponent is Fresno State. So what are the expectations? This is the season opener. They're going to have a new banner, a new championship. It's going to be a huge deal for this season opener. It's also a new era in Michigan football. How will Sharon Moore do as a full-time coach? How will Alex Orji do as the full-time starter? Do they rotate the position? What's going to happen? They don't really have any room to kind of play one quarterback one half, one quarterback next half, because week 2 they have Texas coming into town. Now, which wide receiver will step up? Is Tyler Morris going to be the guy to step up? Is he going to be the wide receiver 1 that we heard all spring? Will he live up to those expectations? Will Samaj Morgan develop as more than just a manufactured touch guy? Is he just the guy that you scheme up and to kind of create with the ball, or can he kind of develop a route tree and kind of bring more versatility to that receiving room? Now, like I said, Michigan can't afford to mess around too much because Texas comes to town in week 2. Now, with Fresno State, they do have some nice pieces. They have quarterback Mikey Keene. They have a running back Malik Sherrod and wide receiver Jalen Moss. Now, if we were to break that down, Fresno State is an offense that accumulate points in bunches. With Mikey Keene, he does bring a lot of experience. He has played in tough atmospheres, but he does lose a lot of weapons at wide receiver. The wide receiver 1 for Fresno should be Jalen Moss. With Moss, he operates out wide and in the slot, and he's someone that understands zone coverages and knows where to sit for his quarterback. He is a playmaker, and he's someone that has really good hands, and he is good in space. Now, with the run game, that'll probably be something that Fresno State will probably want to kind of command early on, because they don't want to get bull rushed early on and fall 21-0 in the first quarter. So running back Malik Sherrod, he's going to probably be a key part of the game plan in the first quarter. If he can pick up some first downs here and there, continue to milk the clock, that's what Fresno State is going to want to do. They just want a puncher's chance. Now, he is an undersized runner who has good vision and can make defenders miss in the open field. Now, with Sherrod, he does have a quick burst, and I do like his game, but at the end of the day, I really do think that this will probably be a 4-possession kind of a game at halftime. And Michigan, they will need to get a lot out of this game just because Texas is coming up. So I kind of see the starters playing into the third quarter. And then you kind of see them kind of rotate out and get ready for week 2 in Texas. Now, we'll cover Texas next week, but let's get on to some recruiting news. We have 4-star safety Ivan Taylor. He flips from Notre Dame to Michigan. He is the son of Ike Taylor. He is 6 foot, 180 pounds. He made his commitment to Notre Dame in December. Defensive coordinator Lamar Morgan, he went hard after him. He was initially recruited by the previous staff, and once Morgan took over, he didn't give up on him. He kept recruiting him, even traveled to Miami in the spring, formed a relationship with the family, and got the official visit in the spring. Head coach Sharon Moore helped close and flip Taylor to Michigan at the very end. Now, with him, what I like about him is that the depth and the talent at safety might not be there for the Wolverines. So Taylor might see some playing time next year. He should be a player to kind of keep an eye on when next spring rolls around if he's able to enroll early. He's been clocked at 4.5 in the 40. He's a really good tackler. He has good side-to-side movement and good overall speed. He does have good range. That's what I do like about him. At his high school, they play a 2-deep system, and he's able to cover a wide range of field in a short amount of strides. So he's someone that I really do like in the secondary for the years to come. Now, the final player that I want to talk about today is 4-star tight end Andrew Olish. He is 6'5", 215 pounds. Now, he chose Michigan over Alabama, Penn State, and Florida State. He's the third-ranked tight end in the class, and kind of like Colson Loveland, a converted wide receiver. Now, with Olesh, he lined up out wide a lot. He is someone that has good speed. He tracks the ball well. He's got good contact balance, as someone who kind of gets the ball to kind of create after the catch. The first guy isn't going to get him down. So he is someone that does have the power, even though he's at 215 pounds right now. Now, they would call wide receiver screens for him, and he would create, like I said, with the ball in his hands. He ran a full route tree while being lined up out wide. He is someone that is going to bring excitement, as just like Colson Loveland did when he first stepped on campus. Now, I'm telling you right now, he's going to be the next great tight end for Michigan. This is a guy who I really believe is going to have some packages next year as a true freshman. He is that kind of a player, just like Colson Loveland was. Now, let's kind of go back to Mason Graham, and let's kind of talk about him a little bit. He's 6'3", 318 pounds. Like I said, he was a named second-team All-American, and he was the Rose Bowl defensive MVP. He is a guy that is going to be stepping up. He's got big shoes to fill, but I think he can fill them. In 2023, he had 35 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, a pass deflected, and 1 forced fumble. He has every right to be the next sensation on this defense for Michigan and become a late first-round pick in the NFL draft next spring. Now, what should we expect for the upcoming season? He's definitely going to be one of the leaders on the defense. He should command double coverages, and he'll be an impact player for that front four. He'll be part of that will kind of get to the quarterback and kind of lessen the burden of the secondary. So if there is any kind of worry on the back end with the safeties, he, along with the rest of the front four, should kind of help erase any of those concerns. Now, if everything goes to plan, like I said, declares for the NFL draft next year and becomes a late first-round pick. Now, our throwback player of the day today is going to be Leon Hall. He was a Wolverine from 2003 through 2006, a 2-year standout at Michigan, a second-team All-Big Ten as a junior, first-team All-Big Ten as a senior, a consensus All-American as a senior as well. He would finish his career with 106 tackles, 3 sacks, and 12 interceptions in the maize and blue jersey. Now, he would be the 18th pick in the 2007 NFL draft and be selected by the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, he would also be the second corner drafted behind Darrelle Revis. Now, he would have a 12-year NFL career and a starter from day one. As a rookie, he earned that nickel spot and was moved to the full-time starting cornerback at week 10. And he never looked back, never gave that job up. He would finish his NFL career with 542 tackles, 2 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 27 interceptions, 117 pass deflections, and 3 touchdowns. A true Michigan legend. Now, that concludes our episode, and I want to say a big thank you for everyone tuning in to another episode of Welcome to the Big House. A special thank you to Dwight Peoples for that intro, Nino Brown for producing, the entire CFB Nation. And until next week, who's got it better than CFB Nation?
Got a question for you. Who's got it better than us? No!